So, exchange listings refer to when a coin is rumored or announced to be listed on exchange, such as Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin. Exchange listings are a pretty big deal in the crypto community uh, for a variety of reasons. It's sometimes it's hard for people in certain areas of the world to get access to coins that may be new or may not be as popular or are considered lower market cap, right? And it's really only when they are accessible on major exchanges are they more available to the greater public. And as a result, we could see potential increases as there's suddenly a new host of investors that could possibly purchase those coins. Now, these announcements can result in extreme price increases, decreases, as investors speculate higher valuations due to more exposure to a larger audience. One thing I will say is that we also want to be aware that sometimes there is a massive run up. So let's say on April 15th, there is an exchange listing of a really popular coin. Due to rumors and I guess the eventual announcement that it will be listed, sometimes we'll see a run up on that coin where people are buying with the expectation that price is going to go up on that exchange listing, especially when it's a major exchange such as Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, and more. Sometimes we'll see a run up into that listing and then a dump because the people who bought all those coins will sell into the people that are now available to buy that token. So it's something to keep in mind that does happen sometime, and there's no guarantee that an exchange listing will all automatically or always improve a coin's valuation. Now, one exchange that has gained popularity in terms of coin valuation increasing on listing is Coinbase. There's something called the Coinbase effect, where new coins listed on Coinbase tend to increase more compared to other exchange listings. Now, according to Messari analyst Roberto Talamas, Coinbase listings have the highest average return standing at 91%, but also have the widest distribution ranging from a negative 32% decrease to a 645% increase on listing. So as we can see, there is volatility here, right? It's a bit of a gamble, and it's something that it's highly advised that you do your research on exchange listings to see if it's actually going to pull through, and also on the coin itself. You don't want to just buy any single coin. It should be something that is valuable and reputable and actually has a use case and stands to separate itself from what everyone else is doing, especially in a field such as crypto, which is getting more and more diluted as more and more people are creating coins. So here are some statistics. This is from Messari. This is the 5-day cumulative performance after token listing. So we see from day 0 to day 5. And here we see 6 different coins: District OX, Civic, Numeraire, Band Protocol, The Graph, and Scale. These are the performance changes at 5 days after. And we can see there's several coins that performed considerably well, right? On the same day, many of them were flat. The only one that really continued to move up was maybe the Graph. Graph showed a strong presence on the first day going into the second day. Noticeable here, though, we do see Numeraire and Scale, and this is something that will often happen. The coin will drop, it'll pump in price, and then quickly dump down. So this is something that we do want to be aware of, and it's really extreme caution, and it's not advised to buy exchange listings, especially when they're happening. If you can find one that's happening in the future, maybe 2-3 weeks from now, maybe that's something that you may want to consider making a play off of. But once again, not financial advice. It's not recommended to buy an exchange listing. What's interesting here, though, is that on the resulting days from the coin listing, all the coins, with the exception of maybe the Graph, have all increased over the next 5 days. You know, we see District OX with a 645% increase from its initial launch on Coinbase. Now, this is something that's on the more extreme side, not as common as something as maybe, let's say, Scale, which increased about 135% and actually was down from its peak. It actually increased about maybe 250% at its highest point, but still overall a net increase from its launch. And we also see something like this is the graph, which increased almost about 300%, but then retraced back to only 169%. Once again, still tremendous increases, but it doesn't always indicate that prices are going to continue to go up indefinitely. Here's another study. This is on the 5-day cumulative performance distribution after token listing. On average, tokens listed on Coinbase experience higher performance after the listing announcement. And these are the comparisons between various exchanges: Coinbase, Binance, FTX, Gemini, Kraken, and OKX. This red line here is our break-even percentage after listing, the 0% change. Many of them stayed within range of this 0% in terms of the open and close, in terms of the opening price and the closing price of the 5-day average. Really, the highest one in terms of the actual closing on the end of the 5th day was on FTX. Besides Coinbase, OKX seen a notable increase as well in terms of the highest point, the highest price. But really, Coinbase listings, we see the most volatility in terms of coins being listed at the 0%. We see overall the opening of the coin listing considerably higher, and then the closing of the 5-day period can even, on average, higher than the initial listing price. All right, we also see a greater volatility in terms of extreme highs and extreme lows, where there were instances, notable instances of coins extremely dumping on coin listing, especially on Coinbase. So it's not always a sure guarantee of a coin being listed on Coinbase that it's going to pump in price. Next up, let's talk about global adoption of crypto around the world. So global adoption amongst retail, professional, and institutional investors continues to grow as knowledge of the field circulates throughout social circles. Emerging markets such as Venezuela, Vietnam, and others may aim to preserve their capital in the face of inflation. This is something that is plaguing not only these quote-unquote third world countries or the global south, but really is plaguing the entirety of the first world, especially in the United States. Every person is suffering the effects of long-term inflation and possible the effects of supply chain interruptions and fiscal policy mismanagement that has caused these environments, right? So many markets and many persons are aiming to preserve their capital in the form of crypto. We also see great adoption in the form of remittances. So remittances are when a person leaves their country and they're working in another country, and let's say they're sending their paychecks back home to provide for their families or loved ones. Typically, this is done through processes such as MoneyGram and Western Union, but there's an increasing amount of people turning to crypto to help facilitate these transactions and to do so for cheaper costs, right? It's much cheaper to send remittances through XLM or through even Bitcoin Lightning than it is to do so through Western Union, which takes a significant cut and also takes much longer to actually send the money. So here are some charts as per Chainalysis as far as the global cryptocurrency adoption index from July 2020 to June 2021. We see generally greater levels of increase throughout the world in the US, parts of Africa, South America, Eastern Europe, India as well. And we also see really the highest in terms of global adoption is really South Korea, which is really leading the way. South Korea, Japan, China. Previously, it was as well before certain government bans, but now a lot of these indexes that would normally track Chinese usage of cryptocurrency are not getting really accurate readings due to the blocking of information. A lot of citizens in China that would previously use crypto are now turning to peer-to-peer networks and decentralized platforms that would mask identities to prevent any infractions with the law over there. And this is something that's actually supported in the data we see here. This is the ranking for individual weighted metrics feeding into the global crypto adoption index. And we see a variety of countries. We see these index scores. So we take a look at Vietnam, see an index score of 1, overall index ranking of 1. And we see greater numbers of on-chain value received and on-chain retail value received and peer-to-peer exchange trade volume. So this is a growing figure for Vietnam. Same thing with India, where we do see a noticeable increase in peer-to-peer trading volume. Same thing with the Ukraine. The United States as well, with a notable increase in peer-to-peer exchange trade volume as well. More people are participating in these DeFi networks. Interestingly enough, if we look towards China, we see lower figures for on-chain value received and on-chain retail value received, but a dramatic increase or a dramatic heightening, really leading the rest of the listed nations here in terms of peer-to-peer exchange trade volume, indicating that more people in China are not necessarily using on-chain, the actual networks itself or using centralized exchanges, but they're turning to peer-to-peer exchanges to trade and to utilize those systems there instead of the centralized figures. Here we see the monthly share of all web traffic to peer-to-peer cryptocurrency platforms is from April 2019 to June 2021. And generally, for the most part, this is the share of all web traffic. We do see, particularly, this is in the orange in Latin America, so Central America, South America, Mexico as well. There's a general increase in the percentage allocation towards the total monthly share. So more people, there's a greater makeup of people in the crypto industry that are using these peer-to-peer crypto platforms are coming from Latin America. Same thing in the red where we see Central and Southern Asia. So this does support the previous statistics, right? There's a less of a makeup of people from North America. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a decline. It's just that there's more growth coming from Central and East Asia and also from Latin America. We do see growth as well in Eastern Europe and in Africa as well as a whole compared to 2019, where there's a general sense of growth in terms of users in that coming from that range and from that field. But this is something that we're going to have to continue to monitor as we enter into 2022 and beyond.